what you want? And are you getting what you need? I've heard it said the love is truly sacred, but nowhere is it written that it's guaranteed.
Just us two, I'd play guitar and bass, and that's how I learned to play bass. I never started out as a bass player, nor had any intention. It's just to get a four-piece rock thing happening with overdubs, I had to play the bass. He played piano and drums. We both sang. And the bass just sort of took over. And we made a decision after doing a couple of records that we had to play live, but we didn't want a band because we argued enough between ourselves. We didn't need another person to have his opinion and stuff in the place.
We will make them stop.
And why just bass and drums in the beginning?
Well, I always say, and I think it's true, it's because we didn't want anybody else to argue with. We didn't... like, we used to have great fights ourselves about what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it, and we just couldn't see involving another person, another boss in the band. It would have been too much.
Guns, doesn't it sound sweet? Isn't this such fun? Oh! See bullets fire, hear people die.
Actually, what the beginnings of this band was a TIAC 4-track tape recorder.
Yeah.
I worked a whole year in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
I had a dishwasher's job, and I got a bunch of money put together, and never played music. I had an acoustic guitar I plunked on when no one was listening. And this idea of this multi-track recorder intrigued me. This was before they had the compact things and was a big deal.
So you were like a big music fan?
I was a huge record collector, that kind of thing, you know, a record worm. And I bought this tape recorder and brought it home to my brother, who was in high school and playing drums in the school band, and he played piano and had some jazz piano lessons. I said, well, I got this tape recorder, let's make some music.
Guns go papa, I see the rich 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 guns go papa. Na 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 na.
We're definitely the old guard, especially back where we come from. We're a little bit of a new thing here because it took us a long while. We were an old band before we got over here.
Yeah.
But we've never been part of any real milieu except the fact that the hardcore audience was the one that liked us and came out to see our shows.
We will send them all around the river to kill the bloody underground river. Rape their women, their whores, their puta. Everything they have is yours, their puta. We just want to stay in our stately homes. The chairs on which we sit are made of human bones.
So then you decided to include guitar anyway.
Well, Andy was sitting around Victoria. His band, which was the huge pop sensation of Victoria in the punk rock era, the Infamous Scientists had broken up over, financial disputes between the millions they were trying to cut up between themselves. And so he was sort of sitting around and didn't have a place to play and no band to be with. And we knew he made great faces. He makes great faces on stage.
That's it, yeah.
The guitar player makes great faces.
I see the rich guns go papa, 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 I see the rich guns go papa. Da 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 da.
Been doing this for years, and then we come and play Europe, and all of a sudden we get an immediate positive reaction on quite a large scale. Certainly for us, it's quite a large scale. So, it's very gratifying that you feel sort of a sense of accomplishment that, you haven't been doing this for so many years for nothing, right?
From the Beatles on up to boogie rock, heavy metal, fusion jazz, everything I could get my hands on, I'd listen. But it was only when I saw and heard bands like, I say, the Ramones, DOA from our hometown, that I thought, this is what I want to do. This is great. And at the age of 22, 23, I started taking it with my brother. We started making music. And it just seemed like, in those days, there was no hope in hell of having a career. No one played the music. It was never on the radio. It was like completely fringe. Absolutely. So you didn't start out with any ideas of becoming a pop star and being on MTV. There was no MTV when we started. It was just LPs, There wasn't even CDs. That's how old we are, folks. And so we just would write songs, play where we could play, and soon we played across Canada, and then we went to the States, then we got invited to Europe, and before we knew it, we had a career. But that was always sort of like, I can't really believe they're paying us to do it. It was always really just about getting together and playing music. It still is, really. I mean, if that wasn't fun and if the songs didn't mean something to us, we wouldn't do it.
John is the band's savior musically, actually, because he's such a good drummer that you can just go to him and say, like, Rob and I will get a riff together or something like this, or he'll write one or I'll write one, and then you just go, John, do something with this, okay?
Something really great.
Make this kind of rocking. Sound like Keith Moon, or sound like MX80 Sound, or do this slow. And he'll play all this stuff, and you say, okay, John, take out that beat there. And he'll do it. And you go, great. But we never try to tell him how good he is, because we're afraid that one day he'll actually start believing it, right? So we figure we just sort of go, yeah, that's all right, John. I guess that'll do for now.
DOA, first punk rock band I ever saw live at the Commons Ballroom at UVic. Robbie had bought their single 13 and The Prisoner, and he'd already been listening to a lot of the English punk rock, the Sex Pistols and Ramones, and I kind of like a little of this, a little of that. I didn't really have much of an opinion about it, but I kind of like that song 13. That was a cool song. So, and Rob's like, hey, they're playing at the university. Let's go. And I was like, okay. It was at 78, I think. And I'd never seen a drummer, Chuck Dissy is what was I'd never seen a drummer play that fast in my life. And I was just like, holy shit. And yeah, I was hooked. Very cool.
Not as strong as a current sweeps you. I can see your head.
Our first guitar player was an example of someone who the road got too much. He didn't want to do that anymore. And he met a woman in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And he fell in love, and they got married, and he's been living there ever since. Like I say, some people just, the constant driving and some people just drive some buggy, and I understand why. And he's doing really well. So we got another geek with glasses from Victoria to join the band. That was only a prerequisite for the band. You must be from Victoria and have glasses, then you could join. I mean, if we hadn't been well suited to driving and traveling all the time, we wouldn't have been doing this for 20 years. We'd have quit long ago. We have an affinity for it, for the driving as well as the playing. And that's important. A lot of people can play well and write good songs, but they just can't hack the road because it's a hard life. It's not easy, especially if you're not being pampered. Yeah. And even when you are, it's hard. It's not easy. But we have a good affinity for it. It doesn't bother us too much. We like to drive. We like to go places. We like to be on the road. We like each other's company. We're not, some bands get to hate each other, and that's, almost natural. Yeah. But we usually only go out for about like a month at a time before we get to the point where we're biting each other in the ankles. And then to play is always fun because we've always managed to play what we wanted to play, our own stuff, the way we wanted to play it. We never got so big that the pressures were on to be a business full on and make a lot of people a lot of money instead of making a lot of good music for people who want to hear good music. Yeah, we toured this year 6 months out of the year. It's one of the biggest years we've had for a long, long time. It's going fine. We got 2 more weeks and then we're home and we're done, so it's great.
you know, people talk about DIY, and yeah, Victoria was the perfect example of DIY. There's so many bands, so many musicians from this town, especially from our day, the old school. You know, well, I don't even want to say what year that was, but you all know, and you had to do it yourself because there was no one else that's going to do it but you. And this town wasn't being on an island and isolated. Everyone made it happen, and we didn't do it on our own.
And next thing they know, they got 1 million hits. That's the way music should happen. That's the way original music happens. If that would happen, it would be better for musicians and for people who listen to music. For large corporations, it wouldn't be good. But fuck them. I mean, they've ruined pop music, as far as I'm concerned. The last 10 years of pop music have been the worst since they started making pop music. It's just been terrible. So, and I like pop music. I mean, we don't play pop music, but I like pop music. But I don't like the crap they're putting out, because it's all just like craft dinner. It's processed food. It's nothing. There's no substance in it whatsoever. It's all people dancing in videos and tarts. You know, it's terrible. So, I'm quite positive about it now, because I think with the internet and the way things are changing, I don't think it can last anymore the way it is. It's got to fall apart and become something else, which would be a very good thing.
What's it called, Rob? It's called Big Dick Come Quick. Yes.
Gifted amateurs. Special dispensation for Canadians. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we've managed to do this for a lot of years without ever really getting into the big schmoll of music business. No Me So is an anti-rape slogan, which I saw on a wall somewhere in Vancouver, and I thought, how clever. It's also in English, what your mother tells you when you're bad. No means no. It means don't ever do that again. And of course you do it as soon as she's out of the room.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's our privilege
and our honor
to invite our friends,
Rob Wright,
John Wright,
and Tom Holliston.
No means no!
Well, thank you very much. I guess I should thank everyone. I'm pleased to be here. I've never played this. This was always too legit for us, the McPherson Theater. And I have two minds about Hall of Fame. You know, Hall of Fame is being inducted is always a good answer to the question, what do we do with the body? Well, we're not dead yet, but I wouldn't mind being stuffed, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I'd like to thank all the people who helped me, but for the life of me, I can't remember any of their names. Now if I had the courage, I'd pour into your jar all the things that I have heard you whisper in the dark. And when that jar was heavy with your honey confidence, I put it to my lips and drink its meaning and its sense. Its meaning and its sense. It has no end, so let's pretend it's now. Let's get started now. Let's get started now. Oh, now. Oh, now. Oh.
It's going to be odd that to be inducted into a Hall of Fame when probably half the people in the audience don't know who we are.
Yeah.
No, it's very flattering and gratifying for sure. It was certainly unexpected.
Right. Have you guys been like lauded before with awards? I mean, this is a new experience kind of, isn't it?
This is a completely new experience for me.
I got an award in grade 10.
Your kite above the furrow, and that fingers like a plow. To tattered ends that twist and bend about the here and now. The here is blind and helpless and strives against the dark. The now is a well of shadows when the world has come apart. The world has come apart. It has no end, but let's pretend it's now. Let's get started now. Let's get started now. Oh.
And I ran into a guy in the elevator and said, "Oh, you're in that band." I had no idea who you were. Absolutely no. That was the best. That was so good. And I thought that was very, very flattering in the sense that someone came without any preconceptions, and they just and it's like somebody was like, "I don't know who that is. I've never heard of that before. I really like it." And the music stands on it, or the performance stands on its own merit. And there was nothing hyped, you know. I felt really good about that.
Whatever is precious little that escapes the powers that be, the eyes that judge the words that form our meager history. But when your flood surrounds me, when the waters burst and come.
There's really, we approach every album the same way, and that's you want to do the best you can and you want it to be the best you've done. So I think, you know, there's things I would change about albums. Certainly, I go, oh, we could have done that better, or the song order, or the something. You're always criticizing yourself, but in the end, I'm not unhappy with anything that we've done. Proud of it all.
It's meaning and it stands. It has no end, so let's pretend it's now. Let's get started now. Let's get started now.
Well, I think it's almost like feel like it's a kind of an anomalous position in the sense that to be cited and being offered any type of recognition with virtually no major airplay is great. It shows to me that there's people who can get ahead and do stuff they set out to do with, whichever road they choose to take, but they can remain true to their own vision.
Thank the Academy, thank the Western Canadian Music Hall of Fame for inviting us here tonight. It was and Breakout West. It was a sincere invitation, and we were touched, and we really appreciate the fact that you work very hard, you do a lot of stuff, and you're really doing it for the fun and the connection you have with the audience and the fans, and but it's nice when your peers and people look back and say thank you very much for what you did, and we thank all of you.